hiring, and then officially asking that the sound requirement be modified and not eliminated. And the modification has to do with the proposal that we sent in already a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And if you need me to speak to that, I'd be happy to.
I guess I just want to understand that for the purposes of the public hearing, the substance of what you see yourselves as the permit holder to be considering to ask for. I put that in a tentative way because I don't know. You may not know, or you may know exactly.
And we're really clear, which is why we sent you the proposal a couple of weeks ago, and it's on record. And do you want me to go over that publicly? So, which I'm happy to do.
My intention here was to have a vote to enable the planning board to hire a consultant.
Right.
We've solicited, and I'll put this out for the public, we've solicited a proposal from CS Acoustics, the firm that worked for the ZBA. I'm not satisfied, though I'm satisfied that CS Acoustics is qualified. They've submitted their qualifications with their proposal that they've sent to the planning board so far. And I'm satisfied that they don't have a conflict of interest, having only worked for West Stockbridge and no other parties in town. I wasn't satisfied that they captured the substance of what you as the applicant actually want to do. And I wasn't satisfied that they made a proposal in the most efficient way possible, meaning at the most reasonable cost, appropriate cost. So I'm seeing ourselves as still working on acquiring a proposal that meets the satisfactions of the planning board, but our ability to be ready to hire a consultant is dependent upon what the Foundry expects to propose as a result of doing this sound testing. So at that level, it seems like I do need you to briefly summarize the concept that you might put forward. Is that reasonable?
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
We're asking that with the certified professionally calibrated microphone in its prescribed outdoor position, we will, on a date that is decided upon by everyone involved, play what's called pink noise inside the venue, increasing the level until we reach the lesser of 60 dB A weighted and 65 dB C weighted on the meter that shows the reading from the microphone outside, at which point we'll be able to tell when we've reached the level, as the meter will not go below these levels, though outdoor sounds might intermittently take the meter above these levels. So for instance, if you play a consistent level of sound, you're going to see if it goes above those levels consistently. So even if there are spikes that are caused by ambient sound levels that we've discussed many times in these hearings, those are going to occur as spikes, but we will not be creating spikes inside because we'll be using what's known as pink noise. I'll explain what pink noise is in a second. And so while maintaining the same level on the mixer or volume control inside, we will pause the pink noise and then move the microphone, which has recorded those decibels outside, inside the venue. And we will place the microphone at the mix position, which is where the tech table is, which is where we monitor sound, a central and repeatable place for long-term measurement and regulation. And we'll resume the pink noise and take note of the new levels with the microphone inside. And this will show the differential inside versus outside. And our hopes are to dictate a new permit limit that is equivalent to our outside current limits. So to make it simpler, we're not allowed to go over let's say 90 decibels inside for A weighted levels in order to be at 60 or under decibels outside for A weighted levels. And that way it eliminates any of the gray area of enforcement, because you're not trying to decipher whether or not you're hearing music or you're hearing turnpike traffic or wind spikes. You're actually just saying to the Foundry, you cannot go over this level inside, because we know that that level from this testing and from this third-party sound engineer reviewing the data proves that you can't go over this level. You'll still be in compliance. Does that make sense?
It does to me. Any questions?
So-
Sorry, go ahead.
Just to speak a second about pink noise and why we, under the advice of several sound engineers, professionals, advised us to use that. Pink noise contains, this is going to mean nothing, but equal energy per octave of sound spectrum. But it's going to mean something to the third-party sound engineer who's going to look at it. It's used in sound all the time as means to measure the relative level of all frequencies across the sound spectrum. So you might ask, why not test with amplified music inside the venue? It's because using pink noise is a more scientific approach, resulting in cleaner results, rather than trying to just use amplified music that goes up and down. The purpose of the test is to determine the maximum level of sound allowed inside the venue that will meet the special permit conditions for the decibel levels allowed outside at the Foundry Harris Street property line. If the venue special permit is amended to require a recording of the sound from inside the venue for all amplified performances in lieu of recording decibel levels outside at the property line, it will eliminate the difficulty of enforcement that comes with the spikes in ambient sound levels from the interstate, wind, air traffic, and it will also eliminate the zoning enforcement officer's need to even listen to the text logs corresponding audio recordings, as only the sound from inside the venue will be creating the decibel levels. It's not like you're going to hear wind or truck traffic or even patrons parking or walking by or air traffic overhead inside our venue. You're just going to hear the music or whatever amplification from whatever play we're doing or recorded audio that we're doing is what's going to be on there. So it's just to make it cleaner and easier to enforce and eliminate the need for appeals. Does that
Clear to me.
make it clear for
Questions
all of
from
you?
Planning board members?
Good question.
Yeah, what's the frequency range that they're gonna run this at?
I have no idea. I'm not a sound expert
Okay.
myself,
With
but
pink noise, it should be run, just from what I understand, that it should be run from 60 hertz to 250 hertz.
so that's
So
why,
it catches all the subsonic bass and everything else.
exactly.
Okay.
That's why we're agreeing to pay this, for us, an extraordinary amount of money for the third-party sound engineer to make sure that it's correct. And we're hoping that part of the proposal that I read is that the sound engineer is going to look over this
Yeah.
and approve or disapprove or offer more suggestions. And we'll have one of our sound engineers there as well, just turning it on and off, but making sure that it makes sense, that it's not arbitrary. So, but sorry, and I can only,
The request for proposal that I sent to CS Acoustics included assessment of what is pink noise, answers for the planning
Right.
board to know. What is
Right.
pink noise? Is it appropriate type of sound to use for this type of test? So that's one of the things I think the planning board needs to know independently of your proposal. That's-
well, my understanding was in the hiring of the third party, and the reason that I'm agreeing to, I have to agree to pay for it. The reason that we're agreeing to pay for it is we're hoping that, my understanding was they're gonna look at this and
Oh, yeah.
say, this is the proper way to do this.
No, I would not want to enter into the site visit. I would aim to have it set up so we're entering into the site visit with a review prior to a site visit by a sound consultant saying, this is a bona fide way of testing. And I summarize it in my own way of establishing the differential in sound levels between interior and exterior for the purposes you just described. Meaning,
And just for the record, we did this when we first put up the sound equipment. So we know what we are allowed to do inside, but we would like to have that professionally qualified and have it on record, because I think that it would make the enforcement clearer and more scientific.
So, yes.
But we're aware of what we can go to inside, and we have not gone over that. Assuming that the special permit that we've been given is about what the sound is at our property line. Which is what it says.
The
Yeah,
special permit says. And that was, I can't speak, I can speak to the language of the permit, which is, I mean, there's a record, I will say this. There's a record of proceedings for the original permit, which shows the basis of evidence as to why those levels were set and why they were set at the property line. And so, what I see in the process is a need to have a formal amendment to your amendment request, I guess, is how I have to characterize it.
and that's what we plan on sending to you, but we're waiting for you to approve
Yeah, of
this
course.
tonight, and then my attorney will send you a letter agreeing that we will pay, and also that we agree to holding the sound, that we're agree to an amendment to the appeal.
Well, but our action to conduct it, it's your action is to request there be a sound test that you're proposing. It's our action to hire a consultant. Our action to hire a consultant seems to me to be, and I don't want to say, who's comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, we need a concrete proposal from you as the applicant for how you would propose to amend your application.
So can I verbally give that to you, or does that mean you can't vote tonight because I wasn't aware that we had to?
No, I'm assuming we can vote to.
I mean, we plan on
In
sending you a
principle,
formal
no,
proposal.
My motion from tonight would be to, in principle, vote to do a site sound test and hire a consultant, subject to a proposal being supplied to us which we find acceptable. And
Right.
yet there's a moment that comes, and I can speak to this, or I want to speak to it, because I asked town council, and I go on the record saying, I solicited the advice of town council. Could the application be amended in any way? We have to advertise a special permit for the action requested or the amendment requested. And his advice was, if the applicant is amenable to that, then we could consider it. So this board needs your agreement to propose modifying your application. And I'm going on the record because there was objection from an attorney representing one of the abutters that wouldn't be legal because it wouldn't have been advertised in a proper way. So we have differences of opinion from different attorneys here. And so, your attorney responded to that with the simple statement, well, if I have to, I'll withdraw the application and resubmit it with an amended request for an amendment. Is that, our opinion, or the opinion that I've sought on behalf of the planning board, is that that shouldn't be necessary. That is town council's opinion. If you as the applicant are agreeable to making a change, which would have to be construed as being a lesser modification than what you asked for. You asked for the most extreme modification of deleting condition 6 entirely. It sounds like I'm offering my own personal opinion, it sounds like it's a lesser modification if you keep condition 6, but amend it. So it's delete condition 6, the worst case, modify condition 6, a lesser case. So town council's opinion is that you don't need to withdraw and resubmit your application. At least that's how it's been conveyed to me verbally in a phone call. Now, as this proceeds, I don't know. I mean, we always want to check in with town council. We want to do the right thing. And so there's a basis and process that's correct. That's all I'm saying. And you'd have to consult with Attorney Martin, and we can come back and discuss this further if we need to, or you need to decide how to manage your application.
I think I'm sorry, with all due respect, I think I already said that, and we plan to send you a letter requesting an amendment to our appeal, and
Sure.
an agreement to pay for, so, I mean, that's our plan, but we're waiting until this was decided, and
This
then,
is not the time and place to get involved in discussion of the substance of legal matters. If what you propose is acceptable to town council, in terms of the nature of its modification relative to the original request,
right.
I
So are you,
we'd have the board consider it, but I don't think we contradict town council.
okay, so are you saying that it's okay that we're going to send a letter to the planning board specifically stating what I had said
Yeah, I
before?
think, based on advice as chair that I've received from town council, the answer is yes.
Okay, is there anything, are you asking me anything else about what our plans
Ask your
are?
attorney to be sure that he's making the best proposal on your behalf.
I will hope so.
So
We're trying to make this easier, and we're trying to
That's the
continue
most-
in compliance.
that's the most defensible relative to the special permits process.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
Is that-
Thank you.
Okay now, is that clear enough?
Mhm.
So, that's where we're at.
We're in the public hearing, aren't we?